So Plan B, for many of you that don't know, is a pseudonymous person that is on Twitter and became very well known as he continued to post the stock to flow model for Bitcoin. And that stock to flow model, there was a bunch of debate, bunch of controversy, but so far has proven to be deadly accurate. Some may say lethal in the accuracy of that stock to flow model. And so every once in a while, we like to check in, just see how's it going? What do we see in that model? We've got a whole bunch of tweets and charts here from Plan B. His Twitter handle is at 100 trillion USD. You read into that however you want. Zimbabwe, $100 trillion bill. USD, we'll see. Bitcoin stock to flow model. Again, the reason why this is so lethal is the supply of Bitcoin is known with certainty. We know that the Bitcoin that comes in on a daily basis into the circulating supply is 900 Bitcoin per day. We also know exactly how many blocks it will take in order to get to the next halving cycle. On top of that, we obviously have the past price movements. And so we can use that to extrapolate out what the future demand of Bitcoin is likely to be. And so you can see here, the white line is essentially the proposed movements of Bitcoin, what the model shows. And then obviously the colored lines end up being what the actual price has been. It is lethal. Now, if we move to something that's a little bit more smoothed out, we can see that there's a chart that shows the Bitcoin 200-day weekly moving average and then also realized cap. And so if we blow this up a little bit, you can see the red line ends up being the black line ends up being the 200-day weekly moving average. The gray line ends up being the realized cap. And then obviously the colored lines end up being the price. So why is this important? It shows that regardless of how you measure Bitcoin, whether it is the realized cap, meaning how much money has gone into Bitcoin, that is up. If you look at the 200-day weekly moving average, that is up as well. And then if you obviously look at price, that is up as well. And so all three of these metrics continue to show price appreciation that is very, very, very bullish. Barring some sort of external catastrophic event, Bitcoin looks like it is being repriced in the world as a global store of value, and the world is trying to figure out what is this asset worth. If we then move to the worst case scenario, 2021, of the Bitcoin stock to flow model, again, coming from Plan B here, what you can see is that the worst case scenarios end up still being very bullish. Now, the reason why these charts are so fascinating to me personally is because when you look at Bitcoin as an asset, people are still pricing it in US dollar terms. And so there is no other asset that I'm aware of on the planet that allows you to see this far into the future and have such lethal accuracy to the future price movements. And again, it comes back to that idea of certainty. If you are a digital native and you have grown up on the internet, you are used to hearing things in the media and saying, I don't know if that's true or not. Let me go research. And you actually go and try to verify it yourself. There's also a lot of information that in the financial markets, people may say something, whether it's a narrative or try to make an argument, and you can go and you can actually research it yourself. That is the beauty of Bitcoin, is it's don't trust, verify. And what you're able to do is you're able to go run a node yourself. You can verify on a blockchain exactly how many Bitcoin there are total, how many are in circulation, how many are coming in on a daily basis. And we can see all of those on-chain metrics. The on-chain metrics do not lie. You can see exactly who's buying, who's selling, how long have they been holding, what's their historical behavior look like, what is the current price movement, and what do we expect to happen in the future to demand based on that programmatic monetary policy. I personally believe what we are watching is one of the most important technologies in the world get repriced by the world, because the programmatic monetary policy is a 180-degree difference than any other currency in the world. Remember, in technology investing, if you want outsized returns, what do you have to do? You have to do something different and be right. If you simply do what everyone else is doing, you're going to get the same return that everyone else is getting. So what you can do is you can invest in something that is different and you're right. It appears that Bitcoin is structurally 180-degree different than any of the fiat currencies. And so if it ends up being successful, which so far it appears that it will be, could change, but so far all on track, then it is likely to produce the outsized returns. Over the last decades, the best performing asset in the entire financial market. No guarantee that that will happen in the future, but it definitely looks like Plan B with the stock to flow model has one of, if not the most accurate price model for Bitcoin moving forward. What do you guys think about this?
I like Plan B. Plan B is a legend. exactly what you said, right? We know the schedule of supply, so you have to look at the demand side. And Plan B has developed a model here, the stock to flow model, that has accurately predicted it in the past and looks to be doing so at a good pace going into the future. So he doesn't sway from his predictions on Twitter and stuff like that. He's been extremely accurate, and it looks like, again, not financial advice, but you might want to buckle up. Looks like we might be going for a ride here soon.
John?
Yeah, I can't agree more. I like how he has predicted in the past. He hasn't swayed from what he said. And one thing this makes you think about is just all these student anonymous accounts that are popping up, right? Some of them are really knowledgeable and people are hiding their identities for multiple different reasons, right? Even the creator of Bitcoin, Satoshi, him, herself, whatever they are. It's cool to see that like some people don't care about fame in the sense, and maybe one day Plan B will reveal themselves as who they are. But it's nice to see there's still some good people doing some good work in the world.
One of the other pieces I think about this analysis, if we pull up the chart and look at it, is those charts actually were not created for Bitcoin, right? This is a historical finance model, meaning the stock to flow, usually around gold or other types of precious metals, ended up being believed or adopted by financial investors. Now, when you take it and you apply it to this new Bitcoin asset, all of a sudden, there's people who say, oh, stock to flow doesn't work, right? Oh, that's going to be violated, etc. We'll see. But it is fascinating to me that this specific model, it's not a Bitcoin exclusive model, right? So you're taking an old model and applying it here. And I think part of the debate that we've seen around Bitcoin is if you're a traditional value investor and you say, hey, what is the discounted cash flows? Right? What is the earnings per share? What is the revenue multiple? And you start to look at some of this stuff, you struggle to understand exactly how to value this, how to identify, is it undervalued or overvalued right now? What is the future price movements of it look like? How do I think about supply and demand, et cetera? But when you do use the stock to flow model, it appears that is the most accurate. And so in some way, the skeptics, the critics, the people who don't necessarily believe in Bitcoin, it may be simply because they're using the incorrect framework or a less superior framework to the stock to flow. And if you simply look at the stock to flow and you say, hey, this model is the accurate model, which again is up for debate, then all of a sudden it becomes very clear and you tend to be much more bullish on Bitcoin.
End of year, worst case scenario, 100K. Plan B said it, not me.
I think that's a good point, though, is like for traditional economists and people that operated in the markets and have invested for a long time, it's a completely different asset class, right? So you have to look at it from a different standpoint. You have to remove yourself from the traditional models that you would typically evaluate a stock or a bond or real estate or some other asset in, and you have to zoom out and you have to be able to do it from a different lens. And I think stock to flow model is obviously one of those. There's other things that are relevant in the on-chain metrics that develop a good use case. But I think the people that have been able to do it the best have been able to remove themselves from the traditional way of thinking outside of stocks, bonds, and everything else within the traditional asset set and looked at it from a different lens for crypto. And I think you're going to have to continue to do that because if you look at it from the other lenses, it doesn't make much sense, right? It doesn't produce cash flow. It doesn't have all these other qualities that you would look for in a traditional asset. So the people that have changed their thinking and gone into crypto and done the work and all that kind of stuff have realized that. And the other people that are still not seeing it as a viable asset and all these other things have yet to do that, it seems.
Plan B on June 20th tweeted a couple of numbers. And what he said was, my worst case scenario for 2021 based on price and on-chain behavior was August, 47K at the close. Check. Squeaked it in yesterday. Yep. Squeaked right in there. 47K. Got it. September, 43K. Down a little bit. Worst case scenario. October, 63K. November, 98K. December, worst case scenario, according to Plan B, $135,000 Bitcoin price. So what we're watching is
say the lawyer part.
Terms and conditions. Go read them. August, worst case scenario from Plan B was 47K, September 43K, October 63K, November 98, December 135,000. Worst case is a pretty strong statement to be talking about worst case scenario by December of 2021 being $135,000. Obviously, with the idea that if that's the worst case, it's somewhere above that.
Why do you think it's a dip in September that he's predicting or on a worst case scenario?
Look, when these assets move, they move up very, very violently. Remember, we went from 64 to 30 over, 2 months or so, almost 3
I
months.
remember the one day I went like 43, 44, 45 in like a 3-hour span.
Yeah, you were excited, huh?
Yeah.
You like that.
I like that day.
So the idea is when you get these violent moves upwards, somebody somewhere is going to take profits. And so when they do that, that obviously puts sell pressure on the market. It's going to drop down. There's going to get some relief to it. It'll kind of consolidate and then it'll move up again. And so if you look all the way back to October, November of 2020, it's at 10K, 11K, 12K, right? Whatever it was in there. Then we went from that to 30 by the end of the year. Then we went from 30 to 64, back down to 30. Now we're sitting around 45, 47, somewhere in that range. And then the idea is that we'd move back up, again, get some relief, consolidate, etc. This is a normal market. You see this in all markets. It's not Bitcoin specific. It just happens to be that the numbers, the percentages are much kind of wilder than you would get in a traditional market. But as we've even seen with the meme stocks, traditional stocks, even kind of the mega cap, blue chip stocks, when they move up violently, whatever that is on that percentage basis, what you find is that there has to be some profit taking. People can't stay forever without taking profits. And there's those numbers right there. So by the end of December 2021, plan B, worst case scenario, ends up being 135K. We'll see. Could be wrong. Who knows? But pretty bullish coming from the creator of the Bitcoin stock to flow model. What's up, guys? Bang, bang. Thanks so much for watching the Best Business Show today. If we're going to be the best business show, we obviously need the best partner. That's why the exclusive sponsor of the Best Business Show is SoFi. They're an all-in-one platform that allows you to invest in all kinds of different assets, including stocks, ETFs, crypto, IPOs, and they even have an automated investing function, if that's your thing. So before we start getting after it again, make sure that you go download SoFi, you get an invest account, and when you make your first crypto trade, regardless of what you buy, they'll give you $10 in Bitcoin for free. It's that simple. Head on over to SoFi.com/pomp to get started today. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope that you come back and watch more of the Best Business Show tomorrow.